Ken's latest reporting is entitled Justice Department Employees Stunned at Trump's Insane, Unbelievable Choice of Matt Gaetz for Attorney General.
So, Jake, let's start with you and get the reporting of it. I mean, you were on the Hill yesterday, obviously, when the news came and the news broke. We've been talking this morning. I certainly been talking this morning about how, I mean, it not only doesn't serve the Justice Department or the Republicans, it doesn't serve President Trump because, as so many people have said, this is the least qualified pick ever to be Attorney General. What were you hearing from Republicans on the Hill after this news broke?
Well, Joe, if they can muster anything to say, which many of them were actually shocked beyond words, they were saying that they weren't going to confirm him in so many words. I mean, we got calls last night from senior Senate Republicans who vowed they will do everything in their power to make sure Matt Gaetz does not get confirmed. A few thoughts here. Number one, it is a healthy Senate Republican majority. 53 seats you could do a lot with. You could get pretty much anyone within reason you want confirmed. This is not within reason for many Republican senators. You have Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, remember, is no longer in leadership and is a free agent. Those will be the people that I'm watching, on top of many, many more Senate Republicans who think Matt Gaetz is despicable, a joke. You know, he's pretty reviled up here. That's number one. Number two, you know, if Trump keeps doing this, there's two direct impacts. Number one, he is losing his House Republican majority. It's crazy to say that. He is going to nominate the House Republicans into the minority if he's not careful. Mike Johnson said last night, I've told him it's enough already. You can't keep nominating House Republicans for administration positions, or else we will be in the minority and you will no longer have all branches of government. That's number one. Number two, if he puts forward these picks that are so problematic, it's going to just eat up valuable Senate time. And a lot of Republicans complained that the first 100 days of the last Trump administration were wasted, and that is true. They didn't get much done in those first 100 days, and they want to take advantage of these 100 days. If you waste your time on stunts like this, you're going to just be really behind the eight ball in getting an actual agenda enacted, which he may or may not care about, but traditional presidents would care about that.
So Jake, do you think you had said stunt, and yeah. I'm curious because I've heard from several people on the Hill that they thought that this was Donald Trump either I don't know if you call it punking the Hill or just trolling, maybe trolling, but you would call it a stunt. Several others suggested last night, Republicans, that this wasn't a serious pick. He has to know it's not going to pass through, and he's doing it for other reasons. Have you heard that? And if so, what other reasons could there be?
Beats me. I mean, I don't see a reason to do something like this. I mean, Joe, you served with a president who was very good on Capitol Hill. Bill Clinton would give a heads up to members of his party when he was going to put forth a nomination that could be controversial. He didn't do that here. So what's the effect? Maybe the next person, it softens the ground for the eventual attorney general. Maybe it makes his other picks look more palatable. I couldn't tell you what the president-elect is thinking in any way, shape, or form. All I can tell you is that Matt Gaetz will probably not get 50 votes in the Senate. I mean, I don't know what is behind this. It certainly, according to everyone that we've talked to, seems like a stunt and an unnecessary one at that.
All right, Ken Dilanian, a lot of folks, when we talk to Jake and to others on their great reporting on the reaction to these nominations, specifically Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, it does feel like they're speaking in a reality that involves a Senate and a functioning government, House and a Senate that actually wants to get something done, have an agenda, and has plans to be productive. But if we look at what Donald Trump had promised, had tried to do in his first presidency, and had promised to do repeatedly during his campaign, don't these nominations fit?
Well, they certainly do, Mika.
Right.
One of the things he's promised to do is to prosecute his political enemies, to blow up the FBI, which he views as corrupt, to purge the Justice Department of career civil servants who won't hew to his views of the world. And Matt Gaetz is exactly the kind of person, probably the personification of the kind of figure that could try to do that. I will just say one thing, though, about Jake's analysis, that could this be a way to make the next nominee look more palatable? I just remember back in 2019 when John Ratcliffe, who's now going to be the next CIA director, was nominated to be the DNI, and he was not confirmed. He had to withdraw his nomination amid some controversies that he had lied about his background and some other things. And then Rick Grinnell was installed as the acting DNI, which was seen as a nightmare inside the intelligence community. And after a few months of Rick Grinnell, John Ratcliffe seemed a lot more palatable, and he was confirmed by the Senate. So is that what's going on here? I mean, I think that's a reasonable question to ask, assuming that Matt Gaetz is not confirmable. But just taking it at face value, look, I mean, there is a human trafficking prosecution unit within the Justice Department, and some of those people may have worked on the investigation of Matt Gaetz, and now they are confronted with the idea that he could be their boss. He could control their fates. They are absolutely horrified. I mean, look, we talk to political appointees at the Justice Department all the time. I've been talking more to the career public servants. And first of all, before all this happened, there was no plan for them to engage in mass resignations because Donald Trump was elected. They are perfectly capable of changing policy on a dime and pursuing the policies of a Republican president, which involves like different priorities on civil rights investigations of police departments, maybe antitrust, all sorts of things. But this set of nominations, and particularly Matt Gaetz, has really caused a lot of people over there to think hard about whether they can continue inside the Justice Department. And that may be what the Trump administration wants, right? But yeah. It is. I've never heard the kind of comments, and some of which we published in our story, that people are saying right now. They are just unmoored. They are flabbergasted and really, really scared, guys.
So, Dave Aronberg, let's get your take on this, your perspective, how this nomination is resonating throughout the sort of legal and law enforcement community, and also speak to the idea that this is what Trump has always sort of wanted. He prizes personal loyalty. We know that in the first term, he famously asked for his own Roy Cohn. Maybe he thinks Matt Gaetz can be that.
Jonathan, yeah, Trump always wanted his attorney general to be his personal defender, and he holds Roy Cohn as the ideal lawyer. So it's not a surprise he wanted someone like Matt Gaetz. I am surprised, and I think others are, that he actually picked Matt Gaetz. We knew he'd pick a MAGA warrior, but Matt Gaetz has become a caricature of a MAGA warrior. It's not just that he was nearly prosecuted for child sex trafficking. It's also that he was nearly expelled from Congress and could have been expelled if he stayed around. Now, and with this pick, Trump is trolling the DOJ and the rule of law, but it could have devastating consequences. You asked about perception. Well, a Republican friend of mine who's also friends with Matt Gaetz told me last night he thought this appointment was the worst thing that's ever happened to the country. And considering a country that went through the Civil War, the Great Depression, and 9/11, that's quite a statement. This pick is so shocking and so unserious that I do think he'll have a hard time getting confirmed. So that sound you hear is Kevin McCarthy working the phones right now to try to defeat his top enemy, or else he could become in the sights of the DOJ. Now, I think there could be a recess appointment here, which would allow Gaetz to serve for up to 2 years. So it's up to John Thune, the new majority leader. And we're going to see soon enough if he will be known as a man who loves his country, like Mike Pence, or whether his legacy will be the guy who watches as Rome burns.